Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
The City of Lloydminster is looking to improve Weaver Heritage Park with a new master plan presented to City Council. Roughly 100 years old, Weaver Park has always been a Lloydminster staple, but has rarely been updated. Now the city is actively engaged in revitalizing the space.
First of all, the park is a museum and tells the story of the history of our community. Beyond that, I think it's how do we integrate that into daily lives. School tours regularly, having people have the ability to enjoy a park space similar to Bud Miller, but in a different atmosphere, a little smaller, maybe with a more rustic look, as they say, because of its being a history site.
Lloydminster wants community feedback on the project, not wanting to compromise the rich history and culture the park has always provided.
This is a great conceptual drawing that will give people even more ability to comment and share their thoughts with City Council and administration. We heard very clearly agriculture, Indigenous, and the oil and gas industry are all key factors to that development going forward. How do we integrate it? I think there's a lot of people in the community that have their thoughts, and this is a good starting point.
If you'd like to see the master plan or have ideas of your own, visit yourvoiceloyd.ca/Weaver Park. With the temperatures in the stratosphere, many in Lloydminster have been flocking to the outdoor pool. Our Lane Hoffert has the scoop.
With the temperatures getting into the 30s, people are looking for different ways to cool off. One of the most popular ways has been by going for a swim at the Co-op Community Outdoor Pool.
Yeah, there's lots of people. The last few days I've been working at the outdoor pool all week, and we've been at max capacity every day.
The heat isn't just bringing kids out to the pool. People of all ages come to cool off in the boiling July temperatures.
Yeah, we get all sorts of people at the outdoor pool. In the mornings we have senior swim from 9 to 10, and I think the seniors love the outdoor. Like, we have so many people come swimming. We have lots of people come at the indoor, but we get just a way larger turnout when it's nicer and outside, and then we get lots of little kids coming and playing in the top pool in the front, and then just all sorts of ages in the big pool, so it's really good.
It's not just the pool that has gotten way more popular in the heat. People are also getting ice cream from the Scoop ice cream shop to cool off.
A lot of heat. People want a good treat, a nice cold treat, and I guess the perfect places to get it is at the Scoop. Good ice cream and everything like that, yeah.
Like the pool, the Scoop has attracted people of all ages this summer.
Oh yeah, of course. Children, parents, everybody, grandparents, everyone likes to come here, hang out, and get their snack on, yeah.
With the heat not going away anytime soon, the pool and the ice cream shop are sure to be a great way to cool down on a hot day. Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News.
Abby St. John joins me now with the weather. And Abby, more hot weather.
Yes, that outdoor pool definitely sounds like a fantastic idea. If you're looking for something to do but don't want to be too hot outside, that's definitely the best option. And Scoops is right there, and it's fantastic as well. But we are still under that heat warning both here in Alberta and in Saskatchewan, including here in Lloydminster, of course, as we are in the center of both provinces. So we are very hot, and that's what we've seen, and it will likely continue as we do have hotter highs later on this week and into next week as well. 31 currently here, a little bit of cloud coverage, but mostly sunny. It's what we saw all day, very hot. Humidity not too bad, only 39%, but that it does feel like it's quite humid out. 13-kilometer-per-hour wind, so not too bad of a factor either. And then if we go current temperatures in Alberta, 31 also out in Marwayne and Provost and in Lac-La-Biche, 33 in Wainwright and in Cold Lake, 32 in Bonnyville, St. Paul, Vermillion, and in Vegreville, and 34 out in Edmonton. And in Saskatchewan, similar temperatures to what we're seeing here as well. 31 in St. Walburg and in Macklin, and 32 in Isle Cross, Pierceland, Green Lake, Meadow Lake, Maidstone, and in North Battleford. And then overnight tonight in North Battleford will only be 15 degrees overnight tonight. It will be quite humid out, so that is something to keep a lookout for. 7-kilometer-per-hour winds, partially cloudy skies. And then tomorrow, expect a daytime high of 33, sunny to partially cloudy, very warm, very humid. So expect that humidity to rise starting tomorrow, 9-kilometer-per-hour winds. And then overnight tonight in Cold Lake, we'll drop down to just 17. So it is going to be quite warm out, 7 km/h winds, and it's expected to be quite clear. And then tomorrow we expect a daytime high of 35, sizzling sunshine and hot. And it is to be cautious when you are going outside. Protect yourself, hydrate, sunscreen, and wearing a hat and sunglasses as well. 11 km/h winds. And then if we go overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, 17 degrees, mainly clear and mild, 9 km/h wind, so that won't be a factor. And then tomorrow, 17 degrees by 6 a.m., and then 30 by noontime, 11 km/h winds, mostly sunny, 31 by 6 p.m. So it's going to be around 30, 31, maybe even get a little warmer tomorrow, and then 22 degrees by midnight, and wind won't be too much of a factor tomorrow. And then over the next 3 days, high of 33, low of 17 for tomorrow. And then on Saturday, that sun is going to be out shining bright with a high of 33 and a low of 16 as well. And then on Sunday, very warm as well with a high of 32 and a low of 17. So we're gearing up to have a very beautiful weekend today. Definitely take advantage of it while you can, but take those precautions so you have a safe time as well. That's the first look at your evening weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. In this weather, it can take just minutes for your vehicle to heat up to high temperatures that can be dangerous for both people and animals. Abby St. John has more on the dangers and what you can do if you witness a child or pet left in a car.
I'm happy to be joined here today by Constable Melanie Flint with the Lloydminster RCMP. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Abby.
Of course, now today's topic is focusing on the dangers of leaving a child or pet in the vehicle when it's hot out and what bystanders can do if they witness it. First, can we start off with why it's dangerous to leave a pet or child in the car, even if it's only for a few minutes, especially in this heat?
Yeah, well, we do see a lot of, well, I guess if that happens, you're going to see it's going to be in a medical emergency sometimes, right? So, for animals or for children. So the vehicles, the temperature can get extremely hot, extremely fast, especially on a plus 30, plus 35 day when we're looking at high humidity and stuff like that as well. Yeah, if you're leaving a child or a dog in a vehicle, they're not able to get out and get proper ventilation that is needed, right? So we don't want to see that become a medical emergency.
So, in the event that a bystander or a group of people notice a dog or child in a vehicle, what should they do? I've seen a ton of questions on social media, one being asking if they can break the window. So, what are the steps that they should take if they do witness it?
First off, if you're witnessing it, stop and look around, make some observations in the area, and see if like the owner is around in and around the vehicle. The biggest thing is take a moment. Take a moment and assess the situation. So, does the vehicle have air running? Is the vehicle running? Does the animal or the child appear to be okay, or are they in distress? Now, if someone's in distress, knowing what that looks like is really important. So obviously, really red face. If it's an animal, they might be panting a lot. Appears to be lethargic or asleep. If it's a dog, if it's barking a lot, that's gonna raise some red flags for you. But yeah, we want to know are we looking at a distressed individual or a distressed animal, right? So we need to assess the situation before we make any rash decisions. And then I would suggest look around, right? So if we look and assess what's going on in the vehicle, we want to look around the vehicle and see what's going on around the vehicle as well. Is the owner talking to someone, returning a cart? There's so many situations that could be happening in this circumstance. And then if there is no AC, there's no individual around, you've been kind of monitoring the situation for a little bit, and now we have growing concerns of distress. we want to first off make a phone call, right? You're going to want to call the police. You're going to want to call bylaw potentially if it's an animal, and then a tow company. Oftentimes, people overlook the capacities of tow companies. They can pop door locks, and so I'm sure vehicle owners are appreciative of that route. Even as police officers, that's something we do is slow things down, assess, and then determine is there an exigent situation here where we have to gain access and get ventilation into this vehicle, right? Yeah, so that's the big takeaway. I'm not going to condone smashing windows and cars. We want to, that's an exigent situation, right? Like we're needing medical treatment, medical uh, attention right away. Okay, so yeah, thinking logically and thinking, can I make a call to police? Can I make a call to a tow company to access this vehicle? Right? Someone, a bystander, may know who the owner is too, right? And we as police, if we have that minute or two, or if we have a few minutes, we can run a plate and we can figure out who owns that vehicle really fast. So
That's a great tip about the tow company. I never thought of that as an option, but it definitely makes sense. Now, in the event it does become an emergency and you're on site, what consequences could the parent or pet owner be facing as a result of it?
yeah, there obviously under the criminal code there is sections that uh, that talk about neglect and talk about neglect causing, right? Causing injury. So those would be some of the criminal code offenses we would look at. If it's to do with an animal, we're falling under the Animal Protection Act in that case. And there are authorities within that act as well that allow us as police officers or peace officers to act. The biggest takeaway though is distress, right? Like we do get a lot of questions around this too, right? In historically in our statistics, we don't have a lot of calls like this though. So people are being very compliant and vigilant with the heat and stuff like that. But yeah, if you see something, you want to say something, right? You want to call it in and let us know if you have a concern. Yeah, Section 12 of the Animal Protection Act does allow for the courts to issue fines up to $20,000 if someone's found in contravention of Section 2, which talks about the distress of an animal. So allowing an animal to be in a distress situation. So yeah, knowing that there are protection acts in play that do hold people accountable is really important. Yeah, we obviously, if it's in a vehicle, oftentimes that vehicle is registered to an individual, so the investigation would take place and the police officers would piece together the puzzle and hold someone accountable if ever there were, you know, um, something terrible that happened. But yeah, heat exhaustion is a real thing. I think we saw a little of it at the fair on Wednesday, actually.
Yeah.
So I know there was a few kids being wheeled out in wagons, and I had tapped the parents' shoulder and said, "Get that kid home and get some water into them." So staying hydrated is really important for yourself and for your loved ones, the ones who are around you, and your animals, right? Staying hydrated in these hot times and just staying out of the sun. And the vehicles do turn hot really fast inside. So I know, don't leave chocolate in your vehicles either, because those will melt as well. So, and it's immediate, right? So something to be aware of.
Yes, for sure. This is just a great reminder for people just to remain safe when they are going out this summer. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, and just the main takeaway, if you see something, slow it down and assess the situation. Obviously involving a call to us if you need some assistance with that. So
Western Canada's largest and oldest traditional agricultural fair is coming up next week from the 25th to the 27th. The Vermillion Ag Society is hosting the 118th edition of the fair, which draws people from around the Lakeland region. I sat down with the president of the Ag Society to get the lowdown on the fair.
A very exciting and long-standing tradition in our Lakeland region is the Vermillion Fair, and it is coming up right away here. I have Justin Clark with me today, and he is the president of the Ag Society right now. And we're just going to chat about what is going on at the fair. And I honestly, I looked at all the events, and I don't think I could summarize them in any way. So I hope you have better luck.
I will do my best.
All right. So what is happening with the fair this year?
Well, maybe we'll start with just some of the new highlights that we have coming in this year. There's a variety of them. I'll do my best to capture them all. Probably some of the ones from my personal perspective that I'm the most excited about includes we're actually adding a day of the tractor pull. So we used to just do it on Saturday. We're now doing a Friday pull as well. And so in that, we've also moved the antique show to Thursday. The lawnmower races, we built a brand new track. Actually, we had a test run of it, if you will, a very successful one, I think, on the Gears and Cheers events that we had back on near Father's Day, Sunday after Father's Day. With the new track, we're hoping to really build on a lot of the new success that we had with the first event last year. So we're really excited for that. You get into things like even some small details, like we got brand new people movers this year. We have the Case IH Chapter 38. So there's going to be a whole bunch of cool antique tractors on the grounds this year. Our grandstand show is going to be I think it's going to be something kind of like an acrobatics Cirque du Soleil on Thursday, which is fairly new. Actually, I think it's returning from a long hiatus, so it's going to be pretty neat. And some of there's lots of little collaboration pieces that we're really proud of. A great example of one is our Light Horse Show just finished a collaboration piece with the J.R. Robson School in town in creating some new jumps. So there'll be some nice, bright new colors instead of some of the older, well-used equipment that we've used in the past. So those are some of our new things. Returning, we haven't changed our day pass rates or anything like that. So there's still $20 for all three, 10 for a day pass. Kids 6 and under are free. Returning, we have, of course, cattle show, heavy horse, the sheep. Some of these animals, if they're not world class, they're definitely Western Canada class animals. So we should be really proud of what this community brings in with that. The beer gardens are excited to have the Dirt Rich and Jordan Pollard playing this year. Of course, we have a parade Thursday. That's always a huge draw. The weather's looking outstanding for it. So please bring chairs, umbrellas, water, all that good fun stuff. West Coast Amusements is returning for us as well. And of course, our big finale on the fireworks on Saturday. I mean, as you said, our website is full of the information. So I'd really encourage people to check that out if you want the details on the times and all that stuff. I promise you I've missed things. I kind of tried to reach out to as many people as I could on the grounds here and make sure we got the hit list, but it's going to be a really cool show this year. I'm really excited for it.
It sounds like it for sure. Being presented by the Ag Society, obviously this fair has some pretty deep traditions in the region. I understand it's one of the oldest. How many years has this fair been running?
This will be our 118th fair. So it's definitely we're Western Canada's largest agriculture fair, and we have a lot of traditions tied to us for sure, and we're very proud of our roots. I'm very excited to see the new things that are coming in here. We have a whole bunch of fresh eyes. It's resulting in a lot of physical changes to our grounds, with some long-term planning around it. So as people come around, I know there'll be a little bit of a, call it sticker shock with some maybe trees that are gone and stuff like that. They were old, they were needing replacement. They probably needed to be replaced a few years ago. But we know that people need those for shade, and we're going to take some steps that we can for that. But again, making sure that you stay hydrated and all that stuff, especially with the forecast coming up. It's going to be definitely something that we're aware of this year, but it's just, I guess we would ask that people see the long-term plan that we have in place with it for sure.
Now, as far as things to do inside, are there any shows or like a trade show inside that people can take in to get out of the heat and cool off?
Of course, our trade show, and I really appreciate you reminding me because you reminded me of one as well. Coming back this year is our hall, which is inside. It's in the curling rink portion of our grounds here. And so we're actually getting these students exhibits back from the first time for a while. Our hall had a little bit of a hiatus after COVID. There was some struggles with volunteers and just getting things going. But I'm really excited to see those guys get their feet underneath them again and start bringing back some of those old classics. And you hit the nail on the head with the trade show. We have that. And of course, our beer gardens are inside as well. And that's a good place to maybe not hydrate so much, but cool off for sure.
So it is going to be a huge event, and obviously to pull something off like this, it takes a big team of volunteers. So what is going to be happening in the next little bit here?
So this Saturday on July 20th, we'll have our Work Bee setup day. So it's just basically a call to arms for volunteers to come help us out and get the grounds ready. We already have an army out here of people working hard to get it going, but we definitely need that community support to make sure the painting and the sanding and all those big things where many hands meet like work come through. And then on the Sunday following the fair, the July 28th, believe you me, I appreciate the community is very tired after our 3-day event, but there is always the need for takedown. And so if people are willing to come and help us take things down and put things away so we can be ready for next year, it's always very appreciated.
Obviously, as you mentioned, there are a few changes on the grounds and things this year, and maybe a little bit of changes elsewhere. And each year, do you guys meet to assess what went right and what went wrong and what you can improve on for next year?
Of course, if anybody's ever interested in becoming a volunteer or a member of our Ag Society, this is a 365-day planning for basically next year. We're talking next year items already. And so if a person's interested, I would recommend swing past our office, express that interest, right? Leave us your contact information. We can let you know when our next general meeting is, and we're more than happy to have those new faces and new ideas come and only make things better.
Okay, thank you so much for your time today, Justin. I do appreciate it, and I wish you much success.
Thank you.
The skies over Cold Lake will be busier than usual this weekend. As Stacey Comer reports, spectators have the chance to see many aircraft, including international acts, at this year's air show.
There's a big event happening in the Lakeland coming up here in a couple weeks. It's the Cold Lake Air Show, and this is an amazing event. Every year we've been to it, it just gets better and better. I'm joined this morning by Major Eric O'Connor, who is the Director of Air Operations for the show. Major O'Connor, thank you for joining me this morning.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's talk about the show. It is July 20th and 21st. I looked at the lineup. Let's talk about the air show first, the actual people who are going to be performing. Tell me about some of the people who will be there this year.
Yeah, so the big thing that we try to achieve in Cold Lake is we try to bring in assets that you're not going to be able to see anywhere else in Western Canada, or at least in the prairies. So we have two large demonstration team. One that most Canadians are quite familiar with the snowbirds, but the very unique opportunity that we have is to have the Frecce tricolores, which is the equivalent to the snowbirds in Italy. And they have big smoke, all colored, and similar sized jets that they use in Italy. And they put on an amazing display. So that is probably one of our great display that you will not be able to see anywhere in Western Canada. The other unique display that we're going to have is the F-35 demo team. So these folks are coming from Hill Air Force Base. It's going to be the first time that we'll ever have the F-35 on display. And we're the only show in Western Canada where you'll be able to see them. The airplane is flown by Mach, a lady from the U.S. Air Force, and she puts on an amazing show. The entire team is amazing. And then additional to that, we're trying to, this is the 100th anniversary of the Royal Canadian Air Force. So what we're trying to achieve is bring in people that have either previously flown or still flying in the RCAF, and bringing them back to celebrate the anniversary with us. So we got Ross Grandley, which used to be an F-18 pilot and snowbird. He flies for United and now flies a whole bunch of warplanes. But what he's going to be displaying is the P-40, which is a World War II airplane that the Royal Canadian Air Force used to have. So he's going to be flying his display, aerobatic display, and then it will rejoin to do a heritage fly pass with the F-18, which the F-18 will be flown by Modem, the previous F-18 demo pilot from the last 2 years, as the current F-18 demo team will be in Europe.
Now the
We're
static,
say
sorry, I was just going to say that the static display too is also awesome. I know that, people love to see what's in the air, but on the ground, you guys have a lot of unique aircraft there as well. So can you give me just a breakdown of some of the static displays that people will be able to see?
Yeah, that is one thing that you're not going to be able to see is the static display that we have is extensive, and we have, because of the size of the airport, we're able to host a whole bunch of aircraft that you'll never see in the prairies. So the C5 Galaxy, which is just a gigantic aircraft cargo, we're going to have a bunch of refueling aircraft. So we'll have the KC-135, the KC-46, which is going to be the first time displayed out west, which is the replacement to the KC-135 refueler. We're going to have our brand new refueler, the Airbus 330. And then we're going to have pretty much every fighter that you can imagine. We'll have the A-10, the F-15, F-22, which will also be flying as a teaser for the show. So we'll have all sorts of fighters, F-16, F-15, F-22, F-35, A-10, and then a whole bunch of other aircraft. We have been the last couple of years also invited general aviation. I'm a huge supporter of the general aviation community, owning my own aircraft myself. So we've invited a lot of the local people to come in with their own aircraft to display, so that people can see that there's not just the big aircraft, but there's a small aircraft they can see up close.
So where are you at now as far as being 2 weeks out? I know sometimes that there's last minute cancellations and you guys are all over trying to get everything figured out, and you're dealing with getting people ready for parking and coming into the show and that. And I know that you're basically responsible for operations, but there's a big team that puts this together. So tell me about how much work goes into putting this show together, not just from your side, but from everybody involved.
Yeah, my side is definitely busy, but as we're getting closer to the air show, it is a massive logistical undertaking, and I cannot um, put enough emphasis on how big of an exercise it is to put an air show of the size that we have. It is the largest military air show in Canada. So, to even just put the fencing, bring in porta potties, or set up cones for traffic, that takes an entire team of people, and the entire base in Cold Lake is getting involved to put the air show in Cold Lake. But there's also, apart from the Cold Lake Air Show, we also have the local community has been amazing in supporting this air show. So it's not just that we have the Cold Lake Air Show, but we also have the Full Throttle Festival, and you could see all these different companies coming up with their own little events to support the air show. It is an entire weekend party here in Cold Lake, and you can see that because all the hotels within about 100 kilometers of Cold Lake are sold out. So if you haven't had your hotel yet, you're probably in trouble.
Well, I really appreciate you speaking with me today. And if anybody's looking for all the information on the show, Major O'Connor, where do they go to find that?
We got a couple of different places. I would say the Cold Lake Air Show website, so www.coldlakeairshow.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Cold Lake Air Show, and we also have an Instagram page, same thing. But we answer questions very quickly, and you can ask your question if it's related to how to access the show site, what to bring, what is the traffic flow, what's the best way to come in, where to stay, and what are the performers going to be flying. Like, I only touch a little bit about the performers. There's so much more. Go check out the website or Facebook, and we have daily announcement on new static coming in.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and good luck with the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Coming up after the break, we'll have another look at the weather forecast.
Welcome back. We're taking a look first at current temperatures in Alberta and Saskatchewan. Starting here in Lloydminster, we're at 31 degrees. Also out in Red Deer, it's 31 as well. 30 out in Rocky Mountain House, 33 in Jasper, Edson, Whitecourt, and Athabasca, 34 in Edmonton and Cold Lake. And in Saskatchewan, 32 in Meadow Lake, North Battleford, Saskatoon, 30 in Prince Albert, 29 out in Melfort. And keep in mind that the heat warning is still in effect in both Saskatchewan and in Alberta. Up north in Saskatchewan, 32 in Uranium City and Stony Rapids, 31 in Wollaston Lake, 33 in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, 30 in Flin Flon and 29 in South End, and in Alberta, 32 in Fort Chipewyan and Fort Mac, 34 in High Level, Peace River, Grand Prairie, and 27 out in Slave Lake. Down south in Alberta, 33 out in Coronation, 31 in Medicine Hat and in Calgary, 25 in Lethbridge, and 27 in Banff. In Saskatchewan, 29 in Kindersley, 28 in Yorkton, 30 in Swift Current and Estevan, and 31 in Regina and in Moose Jaw. Overnight tonight in North Battleford will drop down to just 15, partially cloudy, but it will be quite humid out, so be aware of that. 7-kilometer-per-hour wind, so that won't be a factor. In Cold Lake overnight, will remain clear skies, 17 degrees and 7 kilometers per hour, so a lovely evening out. And then overnight tonight across the region, 18 in Meadow Lake and Isla Cross, 16 in Bonnyville, and 17 in Provost and in Paradise Hill. Clear skies in the majority of those areas. And then 15 in Murnum, Unity, and Wainwright, 17 in Pierceland and in Calgary, all sitting relatively nice this evening. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster will be mainly clear and mild. 17 degrees will be our overnight temperature with 9-kilometer-per-hour winds. And then over the next 7 days here in the border city, a high of 33 and a low of 17 for tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud. On Saturday, expect a very sunny day out with a high of 33 and a low of 16. On Sunday, a high of 32 and a low of 17, so nice day out on Sunday. On Monday, to start your week off again, a high of 33 and a low of 17, hot and sunny. On Tuesday, a high of 34 and a low of 18. Low of 18 also out on Wednesday, but the highest of the week, a high of 35 degrees. Very sunny out as well. And then on Thursday, a high of 34 and a low of 15. Also expected to have some sunny weather as well. And that humidity may also be up throughout this week as well. So definitely take a look at that. That may also cause a little bit more of a factor. Leave you a little bit sticky with that humidity, but so we're looking at quite high temperatures, so expect that heat warning to remain in effect for, I wouldn't be surprised if it stayed into effect all next week as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's a great excuse to go for some ice cream.
Exactly, but definitely when you are going outside, stay protected, hydrate, wear sunscreen, layer up on sunscreen, gotta reapply. I think a lot of people forget about that, is reapply sunscreen throughout the day if you are spending a long period of time.
All right, that's all that we have for you this evening. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a good night.